Hello, as some people might know, I was planning on doing the Pennine Way this summer, and I've more or less bought all my gear. I'm just waiting for one stuff sack to come for my clothing, but after that I've got everything I need. However, unfortunately, the Pennine Way is off, and I was really looking forward to it. As I said, I've got all the gear. Also waiting for the maps to come as well. But yeah, I got some disappointing news yesterday, and unfortunately I've had to bring my plans forward, and I'm gonna have to spend the time busy doing other things instead. Never mind. Anyway, so I will be going shortly on a trip up to Scotland to bag some Monroes with Mick, whose channel's Blamhoff. I'll put a link to his channel below. So I will be using some of the gear for that. However, I thought before I sort out what I'm taking up to Scotland, I thought I'll show you what I've got for the Pennine Way, had I been doing it. So this is all my gear, and this is the stuff I'll have in my backpack. This is the stuff I'll be wearing. My backpack here is a Osprey Exus 48. It comes in at 1 kilo 115 grams. I did try the Levity. They had the Levity on special offer at really cheap at Go Outdoors, down to £40, but it just put all the weight into the small of my back, and it was just no good for me. It would have crippled me after 10 miles. While this one's got good support, it feels comfortable when I'm wearing it. All my gear, the gear that I had set up for the Pennine Way, still comes in quite heavy. I've tried to keep it as light as possible, but I'm still at 8.9 kilos, and a large part of that is clothing. My clothing, it weighs quite a bit. I was quite surprised. What I'll be taking to Scotland, well, I'll be taking all this stuff to Scotland, but what I'll be taking on the actual wild camp that we're planning on doing is comes down to 8.2 kilos. So it'll be around about 8 kilos, which is 2 kilos heavier than I wanted it to be, but it should be alright. It's manageable. Anyways, let's go through the gear. So obviously the backpack, and what I've done is I've used the plastic bag that the backpack came in. It had some like air holes in the bottom, and I've like sellotaped the air holes over, and I'm using this as a waterproof liner. So good tip. Hopefully. Right, let's see what we got. We'll do the clothing last. Right, this is my tent. I took Ray's advice. I'll stick a link to his channel below. I switched the bags that the tent came in to an X-Bed, which is a lot lighter. It's a lot easier to put in the tent in, a lot easier to compress as well. Tent comes under just under 2 kilos. Let's see, I've got it written down. Tent is 1 kilo 995 grams, so like 5 grams less than 2 kilos. There's my sleeping bag. It's an Aegis Max. It's only good for the summer. It is no good for the winter. So I'll put a link to everything below, but keep that in mind. This is really only good for the summer. I'm a warm sleeper, so this is fine for me. But that's got a silk liner in it as well, which I bought separately, and that comes in at 854 grams. This is a foil mat. I've left it in the bag because it makes it easier to get in and out of my pack. I really hate this mat. So if anybody can recommend me another foil mat, I would be very grateful. This is quite light. It's only 164 grams. It covers the entire inside of my tent, but as you can see, it's bulky. It's not the weight, it's just that it's really difficult to get in and out of my pack. It doesn't fold any more than that. So if anyone's got any recommendations for another one, please put a link below and I'll get it checked out. There's this emergency bivy bag. I always carry that, especially up on the mountains. This here is a microfiber towel. Obviously I'll take that with me up to Scotland, but I'll not be carrying it up the mountains. This is my torch. This is really good. When I got it, I didn't like it at first. I've come to like it a lot now. It's a Phoenix E05. It's only 23 grams with the battery. It's got a maximum of 85 lumens, which will last 40 minutes at max setting. Medium setting's 25 lumens, and that'll last 4 to 5 hours and gives you a 20-meter range. By the way, the max setting is like daylight. The low setting is 8 lumens, and that lasts 10 to 12 hours, and it gives you about 3 to 4 meter range on the light. It's really lightweight, really good. I've got a clip coming that'll clip onto there, which will then clip onto the peak of my hat, so I can use it as a head torch as well if I want. But personally, I don't really like head torches a lot. I like to be able to direct the light where I want it. This is a plug for recharging the battery bank. Battery bank is 20,000. I think it's 20,000. It might actually only be 10,000. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's 20. I'll put some details below of it in any case. That comes in at 207 grams. The cable's 16. The plug's 162. I'll take the bank with me, but the cable and the plug I'll not need, because the trip's not going to be that long. Bear in mind, this is all for a 2-week trip. So obviously when I go to Scotland, I'm only going for like 4 days, I think it is, or 5 days. So we're not going for that long. This is my insect repellent. I keep telling people about this. This is really, really good. I'll put a link below for it. It's only a tenner. It's free postage. And I've tested this. I've been in a stream full of midges, literally clouds of midges, with my daughter looking for quotes. And between the two of us, we got 4 bites on our hands. And that was where the water had washed off the insect repellent. When I was in the Lake District, I had 2 ticks on me. Neither latched on. Both, when I stopped, both crawled away. Flies, you just take the lid off and flies are gone. I've not tested it on Clegs yet, but up to now I am really, really impressed with this. It's tried and tested. It works. Unlike jungle fever, which doesn't work. This is my first aid kit. I'll go through that later. I've tried to cut that down. I've switched it into a plastic bag because it actually saves quite a bit of weight. The little red bag that it came in weighed quite a bit. So I've got that down to, where is it? 291 grams. I probably could get it less. If anybody else is making their own kit, you definitely can get it less. The reason why I've got it a little bit heavier is because I've got 2 knee braces there, because I suffer from bad knees. And I wouldn't like to be out and then have my knees go and I haven't got no brace for it. There's an emergency space blanket in there which weighs next to nothing. A water filter. I came to the conclusion on my last hike that I definitely need to get a water filter. This one's quite good. I'll do a separate video on that when I'm actually out on the field and using it. But I'll put a link below for it. This is toiletries. Obviously, as you use the toilet paper, it'll go down. I'll not need this much for the trip to Scotland. But this is, as I said, was originally for a 2-week trip, which is a full roll. This is a juice trowel inside it. Only weighs 12.7 grams, was a little pricey actually because I got it from America. Pillow. Originally I was just going to use a stuff sack with some clothes in it, but then I thought, well, if it's really cold, because my bag's quite light, I might have to use all my clothes to keep warm. So I thought I'd better bring a pillow just in case. It doesn't weigh that much. It's only 76 grams. It's a luxury item. Could probably do without it. This is my sleeping mat. I switched the bag again because these freezer bags are a lot lighter. I did get a new mat. I got a cloud base, but the cloud base was actually heavier, and it was also very slippy to sleep on. Well, this one was the one I already had, which was like the Alp Kit one, and it does the job basically, and it's light. It's lightweight. The sleeping mat comes in at 363 grams. That includes the puncher kit and the bag that it's in. Emergency whistle, compass, should never go out without them. Midgie head net. I thought, well, I'm probably going to encounter midgies this time of year. This was 95 grams, so not too bad. The camera bag. This is spare batteries, cables for recharging. Obviously I can leave some of this stuff behind when I go up to Scotland. The spare batteries for the torch. A camera bag is a little heavy, comes in at 311 grams. This is my toiletries, toothpaste, toothbrush, and this is what I've been using before hikes. I use it as a all-over body soap and shampoo, and it's for kids really. It's a lice repellent. The school that my daughter used to go to had a big problem with lice, and we were using this on my daughter, and she didn't get any lice at all. And I thought, well, if it works for lice, then chances are it works for insects as well. So I've been using that, and them two combined are really effective. Obviously when I was testing this with midges, I was just using this, I wasn't using the shampoo. But with the ticks, I was using both together. It was very effective. Hat, gloves. Surprisingly, my Northern Wayfarer hat, despite the pom-pom, is lighter than my Newcastle United hat. So, sealskin gloves, don't particularly like these, but they're better than nothing, basically. They don't keep your hands that warm, and they're not that waterproof either. But I'm very disappointed with sealskin stuff. But I bought it, and therefore I'll use it. Poncho. I always use a poncho because it covers my backpack as well as me. So I don't need to take an extra rain cover for my backpack. Here's my wind jacket. It's a Mammut. It's actually very heavy. It's 627 grams. Obviously, if it's cold, I'll be wearing it. If it's warm, it'll be in my backpack. So it's the same with all the clothing, you know. So it's a bit difficult to tell with the clothing. Boxer shorts, spare pair. They're Paramo. They wick really well, and they stop you chafing. They're very, very good. Always wear these for hiking. I'll put a link to them. Right, clothing, fleece. Unfortunately, you can't buy these fleece anymore. It's like a fleece hoodie. It's a high-tech from Go Outdoors, and it was only like £4. And I wished I had bought a dozen, but I can't buy them anymore. Which is such a shame because it's a really, really good fleece. My clothing bundle is really heavy. That's 875 grams. So I've got a fleece, I've got a thermal jumper. I can't remember where I got the thermal jumper from. I'll see if I can find a comparative one. But honestly, you should be able to get much lighter clothing than I've got. Socks, the Bridgedale wool socks, spare pair. They come with a lifetime guarantee, merino wool, really good. Once again, the shirt, I can't remember where I got the t-shirt from, but it's a polyester shirt thing, and actually this is, I always thought this was really good. It's a Filer, but actually it's really rubbish. I would get a different t-shirt if I was you. I wouldn't buy one of these. When I got caught in the rain, this shirt became drenched and it took longer than cotton to dry. So what its material is, it says polyester, but honestly I don't think it's pure polyester. They've obviously mixed it with something. I don't know what, but it took ages to dry. Right, what else have we got? Obviously my boots, Mendel's, most comfortable boots I have ever worn. Really recommend them. Look out for good deals, because you can get them reduced quite a bit from Go Outdoors. If you look out for a good deal, you get 10% extra off. So yeah, good boots. I think Andy Wardle got a pair of these as well. My gaiters, they're Gore-Tex Trek Mates. They were quite cheap. Trek Mates, they're quite good, but they don't last. As you can see, they're starting to wear already. I've only had these for like not even a year yet. So yeah, as I said, I mean, they're cheap enough, but bear in mind you're going to have to replace them every season if you use them as often as I do. I use them quite a lot because I'm on the moors, so I don't want to get ticks, and I don't want to get heather in my boots, because you get heather in your boots, it takes ages to get out. Sealskin cap. The cap's actually not very waterproof, but I can wash it in the washing machine, and that's a real big plus. I've got a long sleeve shirt which has got like a mesh siding to help keep you cool. This is North Ridge. It was quite cheap. I wanted a long sleeve t-shirt because up in Scotland, obviously midges, clegs, I want to keep my arms protected. Plus on the last hike I got burnt to hell, so rather than carry sunscreen I would sooner carry a long sleeve shirt instead. My trousers are Carrymore. These are really good. They're very light. They're not very good for the winter. I've got another pair of trousers I wear in the winter, but these dry so fast. When it rains, they get wet really fast. When it rains, they get drenched, but within half an hour they're dry. They're really good. Walking poles are Leckies. I'll put a link to them. Obviously not everyone likes using walking poles, but I have bad knees, so they're a necessity. They were expensive. They weren't cheap, but they come with a lifetime guarantee. So that's all my gear. It's 8.86 kilos for a 2-weeker and 8 to 8.2 kilos for like an overnighter or 2-nighter. So let me know how much your backpack weighs, and if you have any tips of where I can save weight, that would be good. Ideally I would like to try and get down to 6 kilos. Obviously clothing plays a big part in that, so I'll have to have a look at that, but any other tips would be good. And you may have noticed that there's no camp stove and no cooking gear. That's because I am going cold. And I'll do a separate video on what that means. But basically, I'm not taking a heating system. I am going to be eating cold food and drinking cold drinks. And I'll talk more about that on another video. So for now, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.